All right, so we are here with one of my favorite content creators of all time, ThatGirlKrash, formerly known as Crash Cosplay, and I was telling my chat that earlier today, I was super excited for this interview because I've known you longer than most other people. Yeah, because a lot of people recently like came into my life and know me from like X, Y, and Z things, but you've known me for years in the cosplay realm from like Arizona cosplay convention scene and all that kind of stuff. So it's like it's awesome. So I'm grateful that you're here, and I just want to say thank you for taking the time to actually be here. And
Of course. Yeah. This is fun for me.
yeah, I'm so excited. And then thank you again for the support for sure. Take a moment right now and then go ahead and go to Crash's Twitch channel and then make sure to give her a follow because her she is entertaining. She is like worthwhile. She adds a lot of value and everything. So it's good stuff all around. So yeah, so we'll just like roll right in. So even though I spoke a little bit about you and your brand and everything, would you be able to introduce yourself and talk to us what you're all about?
No.
Yeah, oh, okay, sounds good.
No, yeah, I guess I started cosplay in 2011 and I just realized like that was what I needed to do. It like all of my creative outlets
Yeah,
were like just kind of geared toward cosplay. Like I could sew, I could do makeup.
yeah,
Yeah, I like I I'm better at interacting with people like in person than like on the phone or something like that. So it just seemed like I needed to do cosplay, and
yeah,
so I immediately jumped into it, and I felt like it wasn't anything new. It was something that I was like built for. And then slowly I grew like a community, and it's been amazing so far. And my community requested that I start uh, broadcasting my gaming via Twitch because I would talk about how I game all the time. And I just didn't think anybody would be interested in that because I don't play with other people. And that was like the thing at the time when Twitch became a thing. It was like people wanted to watch uh,
teams of people play
streamer
together. Yeah,
yeah, like streamers play with other streamers, and I that's not at all what I do. So I started doing it, and it blew up faster than I thought it would.
for good
And
reason. For good reason.
yeah, and I guess that's where I'm at now because of the pandemic. I've kind of, put cosplay on hold, and now I'm all about gaming and, just doing more Twitch things.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of us have experienced as content creators from COVID and 2020 in general, of having to take a hard like left turn and being like, here are all of my plans for what I want to do with my brand, and then suddenly it's like, never mind, we have to cancel all those things and make up like new ways to produce content.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild, and I think you've been like one of the most successful content creators to make that transition from the cosplay realm, where you have to not only like make your costumes and then go to these conventions and meet up with photographers and then do photo shoots, to like setting up everything for your computer and then be able to stream. Actually, you stream for your PS4, don't you?
Yes, I do actually.
Okay, yeah, which
I'm
is
one of the few that I know that do that.
yeah, that's an accomplishment in itself. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's wild, and you have such a great like quality of stream. So you would never even have guessed that you stream from the PS4. So it's kudos to
Yeah.
you. It's just really
Thanks.
good.
I totally know what I'm doing all the time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, and I gotta say, one part that you're wrong is that it like slowly you didn't build that community. Every time I checked your profile, it just grew faster and faster. People know good content when they can see it. So it's awesome to see you thrive and at this point where you're just still gaining momentum. So it's like
Yeah, yeah. I know. I guess it was slowly to me,
yeah,
but like life moves slowly in my brain.
right. And then yeah, exactly. And then, okay, so what is your origin story? Now, whether it be you as a geek or you in cosplay, whatever you feel makes Crash Crash, what would you say is your origin story?
Um, I was a closet nerd, like most of us 90s babies. Being a gamer at that time was not okay.
Yeah.
Like if you had a Game Boy in my era, like you were either part of the Game Boy kids or you were like a nerd to the other
Yeah.
kids. And so I was just a nerd all around. I remember playing like Doom, like the original Doom with my dad. on like a just makeshift server that we had on
Yeah.
Christmas, like when I was just a child, and that to me was like my origin was like my father getting me into gaming and getting me into like PC gaming. So it's weird because I stream on a console, but I started off with PC
Wow. Yeah.
way back when. Yeah. So
That's
that's I
super
guess that's
cool.
my origin.
That's awesome. And for cosplay, were you the one to say like I want to do this, or was it a situation where you were guided by someone else that brought you into the actual community, or was it or some other route?
I feel like you asked that question because maybe you kind of know.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I had a friend who introduced me to cosplay. He jumped in the scene real quick and then left, and he's been doing other things since then. But yeah, he was the one that he knew that I could sew. He knew that I liked video games, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, have you heard of Comic-Con?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what that is." And that's when I got introduced. He was like, "Well, you really need to go. It's this, this, this. You can make costumes, people take your photos, and you can like interact with other people who share the same interests as you."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's what I need. I'm all about that." So yeah, it was a friend who yeah, got me into it originally.
That's really cool. Yeah, you, especially when it comes to conventions. I remember my first experience, like finding out about conventions, was at a coffee shop when I was working, and then they're like, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to go to Phoenix Comic Con. Have you heard of it before?" And I was like, "No, never. What's that?" I was like, "A bunch of people who love the same things get together, and they just like go with different artists and creators." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And then I went to my first convention. I was gone after that. My life was all about
Yeah.
conventions. So it's like weird thing in the world before that. So
Yeah, that's
it's
exactly how it works too. Like you go to one and you're like, "Yes, I'm all about this. This is my life now."
yup, it's wild. Yeah, so it's good. And then perfect. So as content creators, we can often find ourselves working beyond our limits and ultimately like burning out because we're just like burning the candle at both ends, staying up way too late, getting up too early, all that sort of stuff. And so, what are some of your own self care techniques to ensure that you maintain a strong hold on your mental health and everything?
Oh boy. Great question. You ramped up the questions this time. I've learned that I have to force myself to do self-care because
Mhm.
I just won't. I won't. I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something. I always have a
Yeah.
project or a side project or 20 side projects, so I'm always doing something. So I learned that I need to like seclude myself from the world, being at like I'll just go out into nature and be out of like signal. So I won't have my phone to be able to
Yeah.
multitask. Or a big one that I like to do is I purposely, while I'm working, make my phone go dead or
Hmm.
near death to where I need to charge it, and then I'll go take a bath.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like stuck in that warm little amoeba,
Yeah.
and I'm forced to like chill and calm down. So I've learned that I just need to force it.
Good, yeah, because there's always that quote that I always love, and I'm pretty sure every week I bring it up. But it's that if you don't make time for your health, then you'll have to make time for your illness, and that's exactly the same thing with your mental health too, because breakdowns are a real thing, and same with burnout. And as creatives, I would say like as hyper creatives, people who are always doing things, are always creating different things, we tend to do so even more so than like others. So it's good that you acknowledge now that you like have to take the time to stop and take a breath and do all these things because yeah, because even at my like super indie level, when something hits or goes like semi-viral, the phone just blows up. So I can't even imagine what it's like on your scale, where every time you post a photo or do a video or anything like that, it just blows up completely. So yeah, I can definitely sympathize with nature and letting your phone go dead and everything. So those are good
Yeah, it
techniques.
it needs to happen. What do you do? I wanna know because I 'cause I'm gonna forget that question when I have to interview you, so I wanna know what you do in those instances.
For me, thankfully, my partner helps out a lot with that.
Mm,
Because she is like in a lot of ways the opposite of me, where I'm like go 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 go. I've got to persevere. I've got to work harder, and then she's the one to pump the brakes and be like, no, I'm gonna take your phone away.
calm down,
Yeah, you
take a break.
stop. You go do
Yeah.
self care. You go to and you do these things to chill out, and that helps tremendously. So very much like you, where I'm forced to do these things, but on the same token, when I acknowledge that I need to take some self care, which I'm getting better at, is to like simply meditate and sit down and try to chill out. Because what I always do, and meditation is so like important. And it always seems like very silly or very frivolous or whatever, but it's actually
Yeah.
not. It's nice to sit down and to clear out all your thoughts, or to like really zone in on what's stressing you out, to be like, why am I feeling anxious? Like, is it this? Okay, it is this thing. And why do I feel anxious about this thing, you know? And it's like, is it
Yep.
insecurities? Is it, fear of failure? How realistic? And then you just deep dive into your own mind. And oftentimes,
Yeah.
yeah, oftentimes you come out like with a much clearer head, at least for me. And of course, I occasionally like binge anime or eat some
Yeah.
like chow down on something to just be like, I'm treating myself because I deserve, this thing. So that's at least usually how I deal with mental health. And
Yeah. Now that you mention that, yeah, that makes sense. Like my person Leo obviously
yeah,
does that as well.
yeah,
And I didn't know how much that I needed that until we started spending like copious amounts of time together.
mm-hmm.
And he would literally just like take things out of my hand. He's like, "No, stop, stop, stop. Sit,
Yeah,
go, bath, do this." And I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay."
exactly. Because I can very much sympathize with my partner, because I can't imagine what life is like from her eyes. To see me, because she is good at reading me. So she's like, "You're getting stressed out about this," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." And then I'm like, obviously ramping up to, have a breakdown, and she's like, "All right, you're gonna stop." So I can't even imagine what it's like for them. And
Yeah, for real. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Shout out to the partners who are
For
amazing
real.
support system. Yeah.
Shout out
So
to the partners who have Leo partners. We're
e-
sorry.
exactly, yeah. And if you guys don't know, we mention this like on both of our streams all the time. But the unique thing about Crash and I is that we actually share a birthday, which is July 23rd, which is super super cool. We're both Leos, and you're actually into astrology like quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I've been getting into it last couple of months or so. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm still fairly new on it.
right on. And actually, why don't you talk a little bit about that? Like, what attracts you about being more involved in like horoscopes, and like, how has it helped you and all that kind of stuff? And yeah,
Oh, I guess I don't really know what started me in on it. I just
I don't
started,
know. Hmm?
Googling more like about moon stuff, like moon
Yeah.
signs and rising signs, and I'm like, that's weird. That makes so much sense. Why? Like, I would take you for example, or like if you didn't know, Daniel Radcliffe also has our
Hmm.
same birthday. So I would take like someone like that, and I'm like, we're all so different. So it has to be more than just your sun sign. And that's when I started like researching it more, and I would like kind of go in and out
Yeah.
depending on reminders that I got like on Instagram, because I follow a lot of astrology pages and stuff. And they would talk about something about like your moon sign might be in trouble this week. Figure
Yeah.
out why. And I'm like, okay, but why though? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And that's what kind of got me more into it. Because I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to learn more about myself.
Yeah.
And because it's been showing up a lot more like on my social media and just in general, like in life, I'm like, okay, this might be a sign that I just need to start researching it more. That's why I've only just started researching it more
Yeah.
last couple of months. But yeah, birth charts are crazy intense. Crazy intense. It's so crazy. I'm actually really curious to see your birth chart. I know I told you this before,
Oh
but I want to
yeah.
see yours.
Yeah, my sister actually came over on Christmas Day. Well, she was there visiting for Christmas, but on like Christmas Day, we all got together. We got my like birth certificate out and saw, the time I was born, and then she like put in the location and everything, and put up all of the information, and it was kind of scary how accurate that information is. Like, it's wild. So I subscribe to Socrates' sort of like motto, where like the only
Yeah,
thing I know in life to be a fact is that I don't know anything at all, and that's what I kind of
exactly.
like apply to myself. Is like, I don't know anything if that's true or false, so I'm just gonna like let it be, and if it's true, then cool, I'll respect it, but I'm not gonna say it's like outright a lie or false or anything, because just in
Right.
case. So it's
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
insane.
so you actually have like two careers or so, where it's both like cosplay and also Twitch. So over that time of both, like, careers and everything, I know that you've accomplished so much, during those times, and over those times like everyone else, experience L's or like losses. But as Eliana Murillo, who was my very first interview in this like series, had said, L's no longer stand for losses; they stand for lessons that improve you and bring value to your life and everything. So, can you remember what one of your major L's were, and what it was, and how did it help you?
Um, God, that I knew this question was coming and I wasn't prepared for it,
Yeah.
but because I don't like to look back on the failures, even though they did make me who I am.
Hmm.
But I like to see it more as a positive thing. Like, yeah, this shitty thing happened, but that made me become stronger.
Yeah.
It's so hard because I feel like I've had a lot of L's, especially like
Hmm.
many people in 2020. We've had a lot of L's in 2020.
Oh, for sure.
But
Yeah.
I don't have one big one.
Hmm.
So I think that's why this question is so hard. I have a bunch of little ones that
Yeah.
slowly made me grow, and that may be why I have like this like steady incline
Yeah.
of success, if you want to call it that, because I haven't had like one big thing that it was like, here, boom, shit, atomic bomb. Okay, grow from that. Good luck. Like I
Yeah.
didn't really have that. I was more just like, okay, this thing, and then this thing, and then this thing, and it was just like a slow like, oh, I learned from that. I learned from that, and then I'm inclining more rapidly, I guess, because of all of those things.
Right on. Do you feel like there's any like particular trends that you saw that like, oh, these were kind of like the same mistakes that I'm sort of making and it came through it, or do you feel like they're all kind of unique in its own sort of ways? Um, and if you feel like they're
Both.
unique, that's totally cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess both. Like there was a trend, and I didn't realize this until way later, but I realized that I was my biggest competition. I was
Hmm.
always in competition with myself, and I never really learned why that is,
Yeah.
but that's probably some shadow work down the road. I'm not there yet, but yeah, I always felt like anytime I would like go to a photo shoot or go to a convention or something and I would accomplish something really great, I would look back at it and be like, wow, I could have done that way differently. Wow, that's like I just was always my worst critic.
Yeah. Instead of like appreciating the victory, you're kind of like,
Yeah,
shit, I could have done more. Yeah.
yeah.
That's something that happens, like especially when it comes to hyper creatives, like nothing is ever perfect, nothing's ever good enough, nothing is ever like enough. We're always striving for like more, 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 more. So it's can
Exactly.
definitely be a road of toxicity if it's not like kept in check, sort of thing. And have you seen the movie Soul at all?
Not
um
yet. We were gonna
okay.
see it and Leo is gonna glare at me because we were gonna watch it literally like 2 days ago and
So
I was like, no.
I highly recommend to everyone to check out the movie Soul. It's on Disney Plus, and I dead ass cried during it because it really spoke
Um,
volumes to me. And the whole concept of like Soul is that it's a person who's kind of lost in life and everything, and then just goes into and finds himself essentially. And in Soul, there's a particular scene where they go to a valley of being like in quote unquote the zone, and it's like a spiritual ascendance where it goes like, yeah, every time you're in the zone you come here and your spirit leaves your body a little bit to be in this zone. But at the same token, they also actually have a place where like there are lost souls, where people who become so obsessed with their work, thank you, end up losing themselves and becoming like damaged or poisoned by that pursuit of like greatness. So it was a very big like um balancing act, that people have to do. And they showed like a lot of like, I think it was like a hedge fund person that was had lost their soul, and they helped to get it back. And it was like, a person who like realized that like, holy shit, I'm not happy, like I don't want to do this, why am I doing this? There's that moment of realization. So I feel like for a lot of us content creators, that's a fine line that we have to go with like, we have to work super hard but not lose ourselves in the process. And that's
yep,
yeah,
yep.
and it's wild, it's crazy. So um
That's crazy.
yeah.
Wow.
And pivoting over to the other end of the spectrum, you've also had a lot of W's or wins over your career. Could you just please talk on like one of the ones that meant like the most to you, whether it be some small victory where like, holy shit, I just learned how to work with Warbler, or something major where it's like, I won an award, or like, this really awesome moment happened.
Oh my gosh. Again, this is another one where there's so many.
Good.
That
Yeah.
it, but these ones are working the opposite way. Like the L's were always like, oh, just a little bump in the road on the way to ascension, and this one was more like it like shot me up and shot up my confidence to keep me doing cosplay.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny because to some people this might not be a big deal, but to me, there's certain stories and certain encounters that I have in cosplay that make me remember how much I love it
Yeah.
and how much I miss it, really, because I
Yeah.
haven't been able to do it. But one of the moments for sure, which again to each their own. This may not be a W to someone, but to me, this is a huge W.
Mhm.
And it was, I was on my way to the restroom. We were at Phoenix Fan Fest at the time. It was called Fan Fest.
Yeah.
And my friend and I were on our way to the restroom. And as we were coming out of the restroom, I guess this mom and her daughter um, were waiting for us to get out of the restroom for a photo. And that alone is like, "Oh my god, they were waiting for us?" Like, what were we even dressed as? I don't even remember. Like, that alone was just so amazing.
Yeah.
But then, I realized shortly after the mom was asking us for a photo with the daughter, that the daughter was deaf.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Yeah.
and we ended up taking the photo with the daughter, and then as the mom looked at us and said, "Thank you, thank you," the daughter turned around and looked at us, and I said, "This," which means thank you in sign
Mhm.
language. And that moment, that was the moment where she looked at me and she was like,
Oh shit,
and she looked at her mom.
yeah,
She was
you know
so
exactly.
in shock. And that small little moment that I made that girl's day, that was it for me. That
Yeah.
was like, I want to keep doing this because that stupid little half a second moment
Mhm.
that made it for me. It didn't, it was like the hours and hours and days that I worked on the costume, the amount of money that I spent, the labor, all that stuff. It didn't mean anything. It was that little moment that I had with that little girl that made it for me. That
That
was a huge
inclusive moment,
W.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's always something that's so powerful is that and it speaks volumes about your character as a person, because a lot of people will say, oh, this time I won an award was really awesome, but choosing a small moment like that pocket in time where you had nothing to gain from that situation, but you chose to take the path to make them happy and show them that you're trying and learning and their language and everything was really
Yeah.
really cool, and it's yeah, and then also I'm going to call you out because earlier before you said quote unquote success, and there's no quote unquote. There is just only success. You are successful. You are thriving. So you got to take a step in that Leo path and be like, yes, I'm fucking badass. Uh, so it's good. It's good, and
Ugh.
yeah, that's really really awesome, and it's great to have known you for so many years and then see you, as we talked before, continuously grow as a content creator and also as a person, a human being. Because I've seen you go around to like various groups of people and then find your community and find like awesome like places to be that makes your soul just much more pure and whole because it seems like now you're just radiating with and are very like vibrant in your personality and like good vibes and all that kind of stuff, so it's like it's cool stuff. And yeah, so um
Yeah, that was one of the first interviews I think I remember
yeah.
was a written interview. Well, it wasn't, was it an interview? It wasn't really an interview. It was just you doing a written thing about me.
Yeah.
And it was basically like, her resting bitch face is not really, she's not really a bitch because of that, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad someone knows because I thought this is just what I had to live with my whole life.
Yeah, because like I remember the very first time. I don't know if this is a good thing to say, but the very first time I got to meet you, I had heard about you that you were like an amazing cosplayer and all that kind of stuff, and you were friends of friends. And then the first time I got to meet you was actually in an elevator when we were going to the same place. Because I think you like were sharing a room or doing something in that hotel room with another content creator.
Yeah.
I think like a
Yeah.
photographer or something. And then we
Yeah.
were going up there, and I got to meet you, and that's when I saw the resting bitch face, and I was like, oh, is she angry at me? Did I do something wrong? Because like, and that was you can tell that my mindset was in a bad place at that time because my insecurities were on super like fire because at the time I was also told that like some other people didn't like me for X, Y, and Z reasons, and suddenly I was like, no one likes me, like so it was one of those things. But then when we actually got to like talk later on, it like the moment you opened your mouth, essentially, it was like completely 180. The different
Yeah.
personality from when it was like, oh, I'm just relaxing and not having to worry about anything, to like, actually, hearing your thoughts and your passions and talking to you. So it was an awesome thing, and it also taught me to like not judge a book by its cover, which I try not to do, but.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's hard. It's hard to not do that
yeah, the
though.
RBF can be very strong and
Yeah.
intimidating sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
you just got to give people a chance, so it's good.
But yeah, so I learned from that, and now I'm trying not to do that unless I'm going somewhere where I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference. But I remember that day actually, and the funny thing was, so this is another reason why you guys don't judge a book by its cover, because that specific day I had a boudoir shoot. It was
Mhm.
my first ever boudoir shoot. Never had one before, and we were running late. And that's what that was about. So
A bit
it
of
was more of
annoyance.
like,
Yeah.
it was annoyed and nervous because I had
Yeah.
never did a boudoir shoot ever, and that was the first time doing it. And so yeah, that was my attitude, 100%.
Yeah, so it's cool to see that like momentary exchange or like a meeting
Yeah.
to like years of good vibes and
Right?
awesome like hangouts. It's so good to just give people a chance and go beyond appearances. So it's really
Yeah.
cool. And yeah, so let's talk about your geeky passions. So
Awesome.
when you were younger, you talked about video games and everything. You talked about like playing Doom and all that kind of stuff. But what other passions like fuel you and your creativity, whether it be when you were a kid or even now? Like what do you just gives you inspiration and everything?
I like learning about things. I just
Yeah,
want to know. I just want to know how things work, and I definitely got that again from my father. He always would be like the one to take apart something just to figure out how it works. And I think I definitely got that side of him in
yeah,
me because I that's something that I'm always interested in, and that to me that's geeky because not many
yeah,
people are interested in just knowing everything and they just need to know. Like I'll just see someone do something weird at a grocery store and I'm like, I wonder where they did that. That's interesting. I wonder if they went over here. And I'll just like start like deducting it in my own
yeah,
brain. And to me, that's nerdy. That's geeky.
yeah. So it's like yeah, deduction exactly. So like
Yeah.
a little mini detective until you dive too deep and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. But too much, too much. Back up.
Exactly, yeah, which I always do. Oh my god. But that's really cool. Yeah. I can definitely see a lot of like Pokemon influences into your work and some of the classics like, Super Mario Brothers and
Oh,
a
yes.
lot of also like my favorite cosplay from you so far has been the Charizard armor. Like
Yes.
that blew me away when I think it was what was it? Oh my god, what was it?
I think it was Amazing Arizona is what the first time I wore it, but it might have been Phoenix
Oh,
Comic Con that everybody
okay.
saw it in.
Yeah, because I think I was at like the August convention. What was it?
That was that Amazing Arizona?
I think Amazing Arizona was in like March, but
Yeah, I don't know
there's
anymore.
yeah,
What are
there,
cons?
there are so many. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. But it was wild to see you like
Where's your drink, by the way?
oh, I have the bottle like here, but it's like closed with
Do
the
we not know how to open it? Guys, can we help him out? How do we open it? Chat, how do we open it?
let me see. There we go. All right.
Let's go.
All
Let's
right.
go.
I got it. So we're good.
You're very business D'Angelo right now, and yes, we're doing a Geek Life interview, but I like chill D'Angelo.
It's all good. It's you're good. What
I could feel the tension in your spine.
right? Yeah, I was just like, but it's all good.
Uh.
I didn't. Nothing broke. Everything's fine. I'm just gonna do this drink really quick. Open it to yay. So, cheers, homie, to good good vibes and good community and thriving. We're not gonna survive in 2021. We're gonna thrive, and everything's gonna go our
Exactly.
way. It's gonna be good. Yeah. Clink.
Yes. Huzzah.
Ah, nice
Love
and
it.
perfect. So, where can we find you and your content online?
So I rebranded. I'm no longer Crash Cosplay, as you said it in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm now That Girl Crash everywhere. Just one word, That Girl Crash. On Instagram, not Facebook, because what's Facebook anymore? And TikTok and Twitch, obviously.
Nice. And then two more things. Can't let you go like super soon. One also we have the interview with like me right
Yeah,
afterwards.
that's the
But
best part.
so you have made the transition from Crash cosplay to That Girl Crash.
Mhm.
And that was probably a very important decision because that means that every single social media account, everything from here on out, you've changed your brand name around, and that's an established brand name. What made you? How did you come to that decision?
Because I knew I wanted to jump back into Twitch, and because of the pandemic, I wasn't going to be doing a lot of cosplay. And I feel like having the name cosplay in my username everywhere
Yeah,
restricts me a bit, and I don't want to
yeah,
be restricted. I want
puts
to
you in
have
a
the freedom
box.
to be able
Yeah.
to do what I want when I want. So yeah, that's when I was like, and I actually reached out to my Instagram community because that's my main community, and I really listen to them and I accept like their advice all the time. and I was like, hey guys, I've been wanting to change my name. What do you guys suggest? I don't want to be restricted to cosplay. I would like to have it be generic everywhere that I go. Yes, I'm going to continue cosplay, but also I want to just move it forward as well, move the brand forward. And that's when I grabbed a lot of inspiration from other people and other people's suggestions, and then we got to the conclusion of That Girl Crash.
Nice. I like it. It's like sweet, it's short, it's simple, and it's like
Yeah,
to the point, which is super, super cool. And it's a great transition from Crash cosplay to That Girl Crash. And
yeah,
it's super dope. But now you got to order business cards and all that kind of stuff for
yeah.
eventually.
Oh God.
Yep. So it'll be good. And then, perfect. And then the other thing, what kind of content can we expect from your Twitch channel? So you are a streamer. Once again, everyone in chat, make sure to go over to twitch.tv/thatgirlcrash to be able to follow her and support her and check out her content because it's amazing. And tell us why it is amazing and some of the best content on Twitch.
It's amazing because there is no filter in the chat. We talk about whatever, whenever, and we also game. So that's cool. We also do, like you mentioned earlier, we do console gaming. So I am very adamant. I do want to get a PC eventually, but I really like streaming on PlayStation,
Mm-hmm.
PS4 currently. When the PS5 is available, I'm definitely going to be streaming on that as well. Just to show people who want to start up that, hey, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on equipment. You can stream and have a great quality stream with what you have currently.
It's true, yeah. That's a good point because a lot of people coming into Twitch believe that they have to like drop that $900, on their
Yeah.
computer and then drop like the extra $500 on ring lights, webcams, mics, all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. So it's awesome to see you thrive with the PS4 and and making it work. Because again, anyone who comes into your chat and checks out your videos, it's hard for them to see that you're streaming on a PS4 because you got the webcam going, the green screen going, and everything. So it's like really, really awesome. So kudos
Yeah.
to you,
Yeah.
dude, for making that work. That's super good.
Thanks. I'll take
Yeah.
that compliment. That's a good compliment because I worked really hard. Me and Leo worked really hard to do the
To get
setup.
it
So
work,
yeah.
yeah. Even the background looks good. It looks super, super good. So